I listen to the family more than I listen to anybody else. I do that in cases like this. I think it's most important to get the family's opinion more than just about anyone else's. You know, a woman who's given birth to a victim, to me, is sort of my gold standard on who I listen to. But I could tell that at the end of the day that she would be more satisfied if we did the plea and got the life without parole sentence, whether she knew it at that point or not. And so I'm not a rubber stamp for the victim's mother. And I thought it was significant that even though I did a guilty plea that in the beginning that she did not agree with, that walking out of the courthouse when she was stopped on the courthouse steps, you know, she looked at the camera and she said, you know, I feel like we got justice today. And to me, that was critical. That's, you know, I couldn't guarantee that was what was going to happen, but based on, you know, my years of experience, I thought that was the most likely outcome, and in my judgment, that was the thing to do, to go ahead and get the finality of that plea and that sentence. I think there was a small hearing after that happened, but since that time, basically, that's the sentence he's going to have, and it's over.
And you also took pleas in the Gail Spencer.
That's another thing too, is that, you know, while oftentimes life without parole is the most important thing, sometimes there need to be cases where you seek the death penalty where people won't take responsibility, and you'll notice when they weren't inclined to take responsibility for what they did, both the person who actually committed the homicide and, you know, and carried it out, and then the person who planned the homicide, I saw the death penalty on them when they were not going to own up to what they did. And when they came around and were ready to stand before the family and before God and His community and the court and say, I did it, I'm sorry, I'm ready to take my punishment that's appropriate, then at that point, life without parole was the appropriate thing. The family was on board. One of the people who took part in the murder, but who was less culpable than the other two, agreed to a life sentence. The family was fine with that. You know, getting 3 out of 4 within around a year of when it happened. In fact, if we hadn't had an attorney get sick, we would have taken care of it within a year of it happening. With that magnitude of a case, I felt like that was a significant accomplishment. And, you know, I look forward to the day that I can get justice for the family for the remaining defendant.
And then going into this year, I guess, we have McDaniel coming.
Right.
And that's a case that you've inherited.
Yes. That's a case I inherited. I don't want to get into the facts, but just procedurally, you know, at the time that I inherited, the case was 1.5 years old and it hadn't really gone anywhere, in large part because of it being a death case. I knew about the family's devout Catholic faith. I knew that they weren't people who normally were in favor of the death penalty. And I also knew that as soon as I removed that death penalty notice, that we would have a trial date set, and that having a trial date set would be the only thing that really got the FBI moving in getting the test results back. And once I did, the test results started coming in faster. They were behind, but as of yesterday, we have every test result back. And we got that because we removed the death penalty and got this case on a trial calendar to get it ready. And in the meantime, again, following best practices, the 2 attorneys who were trying it with me, Nancy Scott Malcor, my chief assistant, and Dorothy Hall, one of my top trial attorneys, we went to Atlanta to discuss the case with the forensic examiner of the computer. And even though he was having